Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is my first recipe episode and I'm doing empanadas. Mine are going to be pizza filled. To start off, you make the dough. And to make that, you mix 3 cups of flour, 6 ounces of butter, which is a little under a stick and a half, and roughly 1/2 to 3/4 cups of water. Mix all of those in either a stand mixer or a food processor, whichever one you may have. If you don't have either of those, you can mix the dough by hand, but for that, make sure to get your butter to room temperature before you start mixing everything. It makes it easier to incorporate the butter. When you're ready to start, you roll out your dough to your desired thickness, and if you need to, cut the dough into sections before you start rolling out. It makes it a little easier if you have limited counter space. Room temperature dough will roll out much easier than mine did. As you can sort of tell, I'm struggling a little bit with it, as mine was fresh out of the refrigerator. When you have your dough to your desired thickness, you can cut out your dough circles using a cookie cutter, a bowl, or a cup like I did. Or if you have another tool in your kitchen, feel free to use that if it gives you the desired size that you want. My dough is a little thicker than I usually make it, as I was unable to roll it any thinner because of the temperature of it. But this also allows me a little bit of wiggle room to stretch the dough around the filling as I need to know that I'm able to seal the edges together at the end. For my filling, I'm using homemade pizza sauce, Hormel pepperoni slices, and shredded mozzarella cheese. Filling these is a bit messy if you start with the sauce like I did, but to keep it a little cleaner, you can do it the opposite, where you start with cheese, then pepperoni, then sauce. To make my sauce, super simple. All I add together is tomato sauce, tomato paste, beef broth, basil, oregano, paprika, parsley, and lots of garlic. Then, in a saucepan, I let it all simmer together and adjust my spices as I need to. When I'm done putting sauce on all of my dough, I fill each with a couple pieces of pepperoni and a small amount of cheese. As I said before, I kept my dough a little thicker so that I'm able to stretch the dough around the filling to make sure that the edges meet to seal. I use the fork method, which is where I press a fork along the edges to allow the edges to seal together. There are other methods more similar to the way that you would seal a dumpling. Those methods I'm not very good at, so I tend to not use them. When all of your empanadas are sealed, place them on a greased baking sheet and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Set your timer for between 14 and 16 minutes or until they're golden brown on top. Each oven will be a little bit different, so if you may have a longer cooking time, you may have a shorter cooking time. My empanadas took about 16 minutes to be fully cooked. As you can see, there was a little bit of cheese spillage on some of them, but overall, they look very good.